Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. We are jumping straight into a truly incredible story today. I mean, it literally sounds like it was ripped straight out of a Hollywood script, but it's actually this really profound, real-world case study on childhood trauma, grief, and the absolute power of healing. We're going to look at how a deeply fractured household, one that was completely unmanageable even with literally limitless resources, was stitched back together. And spoiler alert, it wasn't done with strict rules, it was done with radical empathy. So let's dive right in. Picture this for a second. The massive iron gates of a billionaire estate are closing quietly behind a fleeing worker. The 15th nanny to leave the Grayson estate looked like she had just survived a small war. We're talking flour clinging to her shoes, strands of confetti completely tangled in her hair, and blue paint smeared across her back, and she left without saying a single goodbye. This super vivid, chaotic imagery just perfectly captures the completely unmanageable reality of the Grayson household at the time. It was a home that was completely used to short-lived farewells and silent, desperate exits.
15. That is a staggering number. 15 highly qualified, heavily credentialed nannies quit this estate in the span of less than a year. Some of them cried. Some just left sticky notes saying, I'm not enough. And others bluntly stated that these children didn't need a nanny, they needed an absolute miracle. You've got 3 6-year-old triplets running entirely out of control, turning this massive house into a literal battleground. But to figure out why this turnover rate was so insanely high, we really have to look at what happened just before all this chaos kicked off.
So the tragic root of this household's complete breakdown happened just 10 months prior to this crazy revolving door of nannies. The triplets' mother, Amelia, passed away incredibly suddenly from terminal pancreatic cancer. It happened so fast, there was barely any time for the family to even process it. The father, Nathaniel, did what a lot of powerful people accustomed to control do, right? He totally buried himself in his work, using his office as this safe refuge. But the 3 6-year-olds, Tommy, Donnie, and Jenny, they had nowhere to hide, so their grief just manifested as absolute chaos.
All right, moving into Section 1, The Girl Who Stayed. Unconventional qualifications.
So right into the middle of this massive storm steps 25-year-old Elise Carter. Now, the previous applicants, they came in with these prestigious degrees, letters of recommendation that were longer than corporate financial reports, and this really strict approach that demanded rigid routines. Elise was entirely different. She had 0 certificates. She was orphaned at 7 and grew up bouncing around an incredibly unfeeling foster care system. And when she applied for the job, she actually skipped the professional qualifications box entirely. She typed just one single line as her reason for applying. She wrote, "I was once a child left behind." She brought this profound, lived understanding of grief that, honestly, no textbook could ever teach you.
Which brings us to Section 2, Silence over Shouting, the psychology of trauma-informed care.
Okay, so on her very first morning, Elise steps through the front door and boom. She is instantly hit with a bucket of cold water dropped from the second floor, followed immediately by a cloud of flour straight to the face. It was the ultimate test. But instead of yelling or scolding them, which, let's face it, most people would do, Elise just calmly took off her shoes. The youngest girl, Jenny, lets out this piercing scream and hurls a doll at her. Elise doesn't even flinch. Actually, scratch that, she didn't just not flinch, she calmly picked up the doll, placed it back within Jenny's reach, and then just sat in total silence nearby for 10 minutes. She used complete stillness to disarm a screaming, grieving child.
Earlier on, when Nathaniel had asked Elise what she thought of his kids, she didn't view them as this behavioral puzzle to be fixed. She just hit the nail on the head and said, "I just see children who need permission to be sad." Elise recognized that all of it, the thrown toys, the spilled water, the screaming, it wasn't defiance at all. It was this desperate plea for connection from kids who were utterly terrified that if they acted out, the next adult would just abandon them too. Let's look at Section 3, A Mother's Final Letter, the Turning Point of Trust.
So, one quiet evening, Elise makes this massive discovery. She finds a hidden, handwritten letter from the late Amelia tucked away inside a children's book. Amelia wrote this to her husband, acknowledging that she wasn't going to be there to teach her kids how to grow up. The letter said they need a home where they believe that even when everyone leaves, someone will stay. Amelia's final wish totally mirrored Elise's own childhood memories. It brought her right back to an old orphanage gatekeeper who used to just sit with her in the rain, offering her a towel without ever asking a single question. And that quiet presence? That is the absolute core of trauma-informed patience. It's the practice of just remaining present and offering a safe space without demanding immediate emotional performance or behavioral correction. And Elise put this into practice just beautifully.
The morning after she found that letter, she woke up early and started baking chocolate chip cookies. She didn't call the kids down. She didn't force some awkward, heavy family meeting. She just let the smell of the cookies do the talking. And the kids? They came creeping down one by one, totally expecting a fight. But instead, they found this quiet, safe invitation to just sit and exist. It laid down this massive foundation for deep, genuine trust.
Elise didn't stop there, though. She facilitated active healing. She didn't sit them down for a serious counseling session. Instead, she took them out into the dirt to plant a memory garden. She told them, hey, plant something you want to keep or something you're afraid might disappear. Tommy planted a sunflower so his mom could see it from the sky. Danny chose mint because his mom used to make mint tea whenever they were sick. And Jenny planted a daisy in this really beautiful, quiet reflection. Elise honored their mother right alongside them, without ever preaching to them about how they should feel.
All right, moving to Section 4, the CPS investigation, a real test of truth.
So just as this family is finally finding its footing, external forces threaten to absolutely tear the whole thing down. At 2:13 in the morning, an anonymous email was sent to the local press claiming there was this dark reality going on behind the gates of the Grayson estate. They cited the crazy turnover rate and the messy environment, and wow, within just 12 hours, rumors of psychological abuse and labor exploitation spread across district parent groups like wildfire. By that very afternoon, parents at the children's school had signed a petition demanding a Child Protective Services inspection. Basically, Elise's quiet, unconventional methods, like letting the kids be messy and not forcing immediate behavioral corrections, they were being horribly, cruelly misunderstood by the outside world.
When the call from CPS actually came through, the family was, as you can imagine, absolutely terrified. They really thought the kids might be taken away. But Elise, she was rock solid. She confidently told the family, we don't perform. They'll see what they need to see. So when the investigators showed up, Elise didn't furiously clean the house, she didn't brief the children on what to say, she didn't try to stage this polished, fake reality. She literally just let the house run exactly as it had been running, as a messy, imperfect, but deeply, deeply loving home.
The CPS investigator, Mrs. Denning, spent the entire day there just quietly observing. She saw Jenny pour juice for Elise. She saw Danny drop a spoon on the floor and apologize completely unprompted. She saw all these genuine, real moments of connection. And at the end of the day, she closed her folder and delivered this absolutely incredibly powerful conclusion. She said, this is no longer a report. This is proof of what's right. She recognized in that moment that a home isn't defined by the thickness of its carpets or how clean the floors are, but by the warmth and security felt inside of it. Which brings us to Section 5, the choice to stay and healing the fractures.
Fast forward 6 months and the house was totally transformed. The dad, Nathaniel, was present again, actually leaving work early to be with his kids. But honestly, the most profound realization came from little Jenny. During a parent-teacher day at their school, Jenny read an essay she had written entirely by herself. And she read, "Family is where someone stays even when you scream, cry, or spill milk on the carpet." Jenny realized, and basically taught every single adult in that room, that family isn't just about blood. It is about the relentless, unwavering choice to remain when things get incredibly hard. So, what does this all mean for us? It leaves us with a really powerful final question. What can we learn from children who didn't want to be loved? Elise Carter proved that broken trust isn't fixed with grand promises or a binder full of strict rules. It's stitched back together with the quiet, persistent strength of empathy and the choice to simply stay. I want to challenge you to think about how you can apply this extraordinary lesson of patience in your own life. Who in your world right now might just need you to sit with them in silence without demanding a single thing in return? Think about it. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.